Hi guys, it's Rosa here and thank you for coming back to my channel. I wanted to share with you guys this interview that I did with Coach Emily Harveaux and Coach Raymond and Nazon a few months ago. And I am so sorry it's taken me so long to get these interviews out to you guys in video form anyway. They are over on my podcast. If you go to Rock Your Best Life podcast on any of the podcast formats, I am on Spotify, I am on Apple Podcasts, and basically anywhere that you can get a podcast, I am there. So I did this interview just talking about my experience with the Chisel program over on the Steak and Butter Gang, and that community has just been amazing for me. I have been able to really kind of just reset my gut and my addictions, in my, just everything. It's really helped with so much with my mood. It's helped kind of regulate my hormones again, and just getting that little bit of plants out has really helped me. And in the beginning, I did this in January, and I have had, some little roadblocks along the way where I stopped, I started, but I was able to do like the first couple months from January to March. I was able just to go through the program, go through the steps, and they really take you through the steps. They do such an amazing job. And, they are there in the community to help you if you have any questions. There are members there. They have like a whole chat, a whole group of people that are doing the program with you. And so it really made it quite easy. And like I said, life happens. So they encourage you to to stop sometimes and listen to your body. But the biggest thing that I learned throughout the program is that there's these steps and you can kind of do it at your own pace. And so you can stop, you can go to your home base, replenish, fuel up, and yeah, that's what really helped me along the way is the community aspect. The coach is there to help you, and then kind of the food freedom in this program as well. And as you guys saw or will see in this episode, I shared my before and afters, that I had amazing success without ever working out. I didn't work out when I was doing this program. I did start implementing some resistance training at the beginning of June, or mid-June, I guess, really more seriously. I love movement. I love to walk. I'm always moving, but I wasn't really implementing any workouts while I was doing this program. But that being said, I hope that you guys enjoy this interview today. And don't forget to like and subscribe, of course, to this channel. I want you guys to rock your best life. And if there's anybody that you want me to interview on this channel, feel free to reach out to me. Let me know, and I will try to get them on here and we can talk about everything. Any questions that you guys might have, just let me know. So I hope that you guys are enjoying the content on this channel, and don't forget to rock your best life. Hi, and welcome back to the Rock Your Best Life podcast. With me today, I have Coach Emily and Coach Raymond from the Steak and Butter Gang Challenge, and they have an amazing program that they're going to talk about today. But first, I want you guys to just introduce yourself for people that don't know you. Who are you, and what do you do?
Emily, ladies first.
I guess I should have specified. Okay, who?
Age before beauty. It's both. With Raymond and I, it's age before beauty because I'm about a year older than him, and he's definitely more beautiful. So I get both.
Okay. Oh.
So I'm Emily Harveaux. I will be 51 in May of this year. I am a 15-month carnivore. So I tried carnivore at the end of my health transformation. It was the end of my weight loss journey. At my heaviest and worst state, mentally, physically, energy, I was in my mid 40s, about 46, 47, and I was 300 pounds at a height of 5'8". I was quite heavy, quite sick, quite depressed, injured, having a lot of anxiety and a negative mindset. I was able to lose that weight through fasting and keto, a lot of it, but I never got free of my food addiction. And so I became free of food addiction through the carnivore diet and combining fasting with carnivore diet. So that's a little bit about my background and why I'm so excited to be a fasting and carnivore coach, and so excited to work with Bella and Ray. And it's just been a personal transformation for me that has been incredible. So that's the cliff notes. Sorry.
No, that's amazing, Emily. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. And how about you, Coach Raymond?
Yes. So I'm actually a 4-year carnivore now, 4.5 years carnivore now, and I'm 49. So I have a family, 2 kids, a wife. And so going through the carnivore journey at first was really about, I didn't have the energy nor the want to actually play with my kids or go out and do anything. Actually, I don't want anything. Just sit on the couch and just watch TV all day or Netflix and stuff, and binge and eat. And I was diagnosed through work that I was pre-diabetic. And that's really what started my journey, because what they said about pre-diabetic, they were like, oh, you'll be diabetic someday. There's no stopping it. The only thing you can do is possibly slow it down a little bit if you did some exercise and ate their, diabetic diet. And so, of course, I wasn't going to change that. So I went ahead and looked on everything else. So tried working out, tried it for 8 weeks. I ended up gaining a pound. At that time, I got up to 252 pounds at my highest, which is not that much considering, I guess, some folks. But, the problem with that is that I had plantar fasciitis, heel spurs. I had sleep apnea. I snored, barely could breathe. Most of the time, one nostril was stuck. Just a load of issues. I had problems with the restroom. I was going 3 times a day, but trying to expel took 30 minutes every time just to expel. It was not pleasant. Smelled bad. Just a numerous lots of issues. And I didn't pay attention to any of that. But afterwards, I was like, obviously, working out's not working. All of those symptoms were still there. And I was just thinking of lowering my prediabetes, but I was like, this is not working. I'm not losing weight. So I saw something about the low carb, doing research on the web about, how to cure diabetes. And sure enough, they came with the diet doctor. I'm not sure if you can do that anymore, like, how to cure diabetes, where they'll come up again. But anyways, that came up and I read all about it. And I was like, you know what? I can sacrifice 6 weeks of my life to see what happens. Within the first 6 weeks, I lost like 10 pounds of water weight, but it looked like I lost 30 pounds, right? So I was like, wow. So obviously it wasn't really about the weight, it's about how I looked and felt, right? I mean, 10 pounds is not much for somebody who's at 250 something, right? So, but I was really impressed about how well I felt. Started noticing some pains were kind of going away, like a little bit of, I had annoying arthritis on my hand and stuff like that. And those started kind of going away. And I was like, this is weird. So, I'd play with that a little bit, and of course couldn't keep it on because, I had enough. I was doing kind of low carb. So I had enough that propelled me to more sugars and carbs. And obviously I'd go on and off. So, but the end made it where I started seeing that it was possible to go all meat. Actually, it was funny because I ran into a forum that actually stated that if you want to get rid of all your cravings, that you should go all in with carnivore. And then I was like, that actually makes sense. And they explained it like a drug addict kind of thing, right? And I was like, oh yeah, so you get rid of the drug all the way, then you don't want it anymore.
Right.
And sure thing, they were spot on. So, but that's the Cliff Note version. I've been doing it for 4.5 years. Within 1.5 years, I've lost all my weight. Not only that, got a nice little 6-pack.
Yeah.
Looked better, felt better. Just like performance was just like in my 20s, was just amazing. Or just on top of the world. And I was like, you know what? This is just something I'm going to do from here on out.
That's amazing. Yeah. And it sounds like you got rid of a lot of inflammation in the body.
Because I mean, I think that's the root of a lot of all the chronic illness, you know, and all the pains that we have. A lot of it comes down to inflammation, right?
That's what I feel. I mean, I feel like it was a lot of inflammation because there's no way it could be just weight. It's not just about weight. That's what I feel. It's like, because weight wise, I didn't weigh that much difference, but look wise, I look very different. So is it really about weight or is it about inflammation? How much does inflammation weigh? You know, if you want to look at it that way, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, we will tell clients that we had a client that was thinking about going strict beef, and she said, well, will I lose weight? And we said, well, you'll be smaller. Because you'll lose inflammation. She said, well, that's fine. I want to be smaller. I said, okay, you know, we'll try this. Yeah, I think that inflammation is the root cause, and insulin resistance, and insulin's not the bad guy. It's just this toxicity of carbs that has come in and has made our body respond. It's actually trying to protect us and save us. So I think that's kind of how we ended up there. And for me, I look at the inflammation in the brain. And so we can know that like extreme cases of that go all the way to Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, neuropathy, dementia. Is so much so that it's even called type 3 diabetes is what we're calling Alzheimer's these days. So how I process that and think about that is that the common cure of mental illness is depression. And so to me, that is an inflamed brain. That's, you know, if you've got all the way extreme on one end, then on this end, the common cold version of our mindset and negativity and not being able to access the positive neurotransmitters that we need is an inflammatory issue as well, and a malnutrition issue.
Yeah, I agree. So much of that. And I want to know from each of you, how did you start? How did you figure out the feasting and fasting? That was something that was very powerful for each of you, because I know you each have a journey with fasting, and then kind of discovering the feasting aspect of it.
Yeah. So for me, it was at first, the biggest thing is when I saw the fasting portion. I didn't even know about fasting until Dr. Fung, and I ran across him through Diet Doctor, right? And I started reading all this stuff about, you know, fasting, and I'm like, wow, this is fascinating what it can do. But, you know, I was the type that I had a hard time fasting for 12 hours for my blood work. Literally, I remember saying that every year that I had to do the fast for blood work. And I was like, I don't know, I'm going to finish eating at 8 so I can get over there and eat at 8. And I'm trying to strategize it where I can just make it just barely just for that 12 hours. Right. And, you know, so I was like, I know I probably couldn't do this. And when I started going on the carnivore diet, that's where the catalyst really started coming up, because I started noticing I'm less and less hungry. Right. And then what Dr. Fung would call intermittent fasting was automatic for me. So then I started realizing it's about nutrition. It's how much I can put in gives me the amount of time that I can not eat for. So, and one of the big key reasons that made me think that way more and more, because, you know, when you do it yourself, you don't really realize it, right? But when you watch others do it, you're starting to realize it. There was a comment that Dr. Baker said one time. He's like, I ate so much meat, I didn't want to eat for the next 48 hours.
Oh.
And I was like, it's something about feasting. It's got to be. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of benefits in the fasting, just like Dr. Fung says, but without the feasting, and I've tried it where I tried to eat not very little, but to, you know, satisfied to go to skip a day. And I just can't do it. It's just hard to this day. You know, I have to eat enough if I'm going to tackle a fast. If I'm not, then it's not relevant, you know? So, but I started doing that and started playing around with it. And because I have access, because I became a coach and I started having access to a lot of people, I started trying it out. So it ended up being, and I only know how to do this on a carnivore version. I noticed that the fast actually takes away cravings faster later on, if done properly. right? So that's the key, if done properly. If they fast too early and doing a carnivore diet at the same time, all it does is it makes them go right into the carbs and sugar. So if done properly, you can actually get total food freedom from there. And that's what I noticed playing with that. And this is why I started teaching that.
Yes, and
Phenomenal.
I can agree with all of that going through your program. Because before I would fast, and I've done like a 7-day fast, and when I came off of that fast, I wanted to eat everything. I was ravenous. But then doing your program the way that you've designed it is just amazing, because I didn't want anything else other than meat. And I wasn't ever ravenous. I didn't have that ravenous hunger. So, and how about you, Emily?
Yeah, I mean, Rosa, it's a game changer. The nutrition is a game changer. And when we got to the end of those 7-day fasts, I have the same history as you. I did 7-day fast, 14-day fast, 5-day fast, all kinds of different lengths of fast. When you get to the end, you've pushed it so far, you've actually probably damaged your thyroid a little bit. You probably have taken your metabolism down a little bit. And so then again, all of these things our bodies are doing are protective mechanism. It comes up with this voracious appetite, because is she going to starve me for another 15 days? You're going to starve me for another 7 days. What the heck is this person doing? And so it forces you to get the quick energy. And it has these cravings for the quick energy. And so then oftentimes fasters that push it too far, they end up in the carb hole again, because that fast was not where it was needing to be. It was not the healthy length for them. My personal history was that I was introduced to Dr. Fung's book when I was 2017, when I was at my all-time high and had injured myself and was immobile because I had a meniscus tear. And my friend had asked me to read Dr. Fung's book. I was actually scheduled for surgery. I was going to get a gastric sleeve. And so she said, just try one more time, give this a shot. I love science. And as I got into that book, what I learned is that weight is hormonal, that your fat is based on your hormones. It's not based on calories. I didn't understand the nutrition piece, because now we know it's hormonal. It's not calories in, calories out. And the nutrition and keeping the carbs out is absolutely essential for this healthy, efficient body that we're kind of wanting, that we think that that's the great look that we want. So I did fasting for many years. I went from 300 down to the 180s, 190s. And I decided to try carnivore for the mental benefits, the focus, try to lose the last little bit. And to try to overcome sugar addiction. But I still fasted because I love fasting, because there are some wonderful benefits and it feels so good. It brings that inflammation down. Even though I wasn't doing it the best way, I still was doing it a way that really, really worked for me and that I got results from, and that my health was improving. So I combined carnivore and fasting just on my own, not really understanding the feasting component of it. It had success, had a lot of the benefits that people get when they normally go on a carnivore diet for the first 6 months, but I actually was restricting and doing carnivore at the same time. So come July, I met Bella and Raymond, and I learned how to feast. And so this was like life-changing for me. The other thing that happened is I'd had this health transformation, and I was so excited about my carnivore journey, but I was shushed anytime I talked about fasting, because people would say, well, how'd you do it? And I said, oh, it's so great. I eat all meat and I fast, and this is how I went about it. And my posts would be like muted. And people would be listing questions for me, wanting me to help them. Like, oh, I want to help them. This is so great. And I couldn't even speak because I had been, X'd out for using the F word in the carnivore community. And so this was when I saw Raymond that spring, I had kind of learned about his journey. Like, he talks about fasting. Okay, with that person, I can talk about fasting. That carnivore is okay with fasting. And I listened to his podcast interview and met him with Bella. And, it was amazing because it revolutionized my fasting practice. I was a super faster already, but it just took it to this next level. And so, so I was really excited that I got to help people in this journey and help teach his program. It's wonderful.
That is so amazing. And And now, when did you guys got together in Steak and Butter Gals group? And when did you guys officially start doing the program, working the program with the people in the group?
In the fall,
Right.
October. Yeah, so I came on as helping just in the classes because so he kind of needed, Bella was doing a great job. He kind of needed a little bit of like organization or something, or just somebody to kind of banter back and forth and give a little bit of structure, like that kind of thing. Like that kind of seemed to be helpful. And so I came onto that with that. And then by December, we were writing Chisel, December, January, but then it didn't really release. Did it come out in February, Coach?
March.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was kind of a multi-step, but in the meantime, Raymond actually started he offered to intern me as coach. And so I was able to intern with him for a while. And so that's been great. So I was able to kind of see and understand like the background behind that, the way, how he does his one-on-one coaching, which is actually quite different than how we do it in the group setting.
Yeah.
So I just had an opportunity just to learn a lot from like the best carnivore fasting coaching there ever was, and just sort of incorporate that in so that now I can train other coaches and coach other individuals. And so it's kind of growing. So we've got lots of coaches now that are, that Raymond will be one at a time interning so that they can continue to coach other people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's been great.
Yeah, that's so amazing. And Coach Raymond, how long have you been coaching?
Oh gosh, I've been coaching now for 2 years. So this is actually probably my 3rd year coaching, right? So I coached 2 years with MeatRx, which is Rivero now.
Oh,
And
yes.
then this is my 3rd year, since, technically I'm not coaching with them anymore. I'm more like all on Bella's platform. So yeah,
Yeah.
for about that long. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I really think that people, because they can see your progress, see your story, and they can also see your experience and your expertise, and having already helped, I'm not sure how many people you guys have already helped.
Oh
but
my goodness.
Yeah, what would you say?
Well, yeah. So I'm probably so before Bella's, I was at the 400 mark. So,
wow.
Now it's because it's group getting people in groups. Now, I don't know how many were actually successful, but I've easily gone through at least a few thousand now. So,
Wow.
because our groups are so big now. So this is the way forward, I feel, to actually affect as many people as possible. And the program obviously is very friendly to groups too, which I did not discover that until I start putting it out there. And that's why we beta tested it first. And right now we're still trying to learn as much as we can, because I feel like it's not something that we should just be like, oh, this is the magic formula. It never is. There's always some people that just don't benefit as well and all that, and those are the people I'm looking for, right? So I'm always trying to refine it and seeing, hey, can we do it better? Can we always do it better? I'm not looking for this for any I just, if anything, I'm looking for it for better for myself too. What works even better for myself, because yes, I've improved myself very well, but what about down the road? So right now I only have the first 3 months written pretty much, which Emily helped me write that out. But 3 months, is that really enough? My objective on this Steak and Butter Gang is literally to get you 100% carnivore where it's possible, and to have food freedom. And it's that simple. And on the side note, you learn how to do OMADs, you learn how to do alternate day fast, and you learn rolling 48. You know that you're capable of doing it. That's it. And I feel like my job is done. The rest, explore yourself, whatever you want. You have the tools now that you can use. There is more tools that I have available, but I'm not willing to teach them yet. Maybe a little later on down the road we will. But right now, I feel like 3 months is a good solid head start. My objective is actually to make as many carnivores as possible. So that's it.
And I think it's very effective for that. I mean, for me, I was going back and forth between carnivore and ketovore kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And the cravings would come back, and then I would know, oh, I got to go back to carnivore. But the way that you guys design the program, it makes you not want anything else other than meat. And that's kind of what I experienced is you
I am
don't.
so glad. And that so much ties down. How was feasting for you? How was priming and feasting, and how was that experience?
That was good. It was hard. It made me realize that I wasn't eating enough, which I already
Yes.
kind of knew because I was having trouble getting back into fasting. Yeah, I was having trouble even going beyond 24 hours. I would get to
Yeah.
like the 20-hour mark and I was having issues, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was uncomfortable, of course, because you have everyone, eat as much as they can. And I was so, oh gosh, I was so nauseous.
Oh no. Uh-oh. Too far.
Was it bad on the second week or the first week you felt that way? How was
Oh, it was just the first, but I think it was also because I was just doing meat again also. Before I was doing mostly meat, but I had some plants in there. And you don't realize that just extra like 10 or 15%, how it does affect your digestion. So I was dealing with adaptation too. That was part of it.
Right. Of course. And that's the fun part about the schedule that I have set up is the way it is. It's really to learn something about yourself that you've never really paid attention to. First of all, we always come into this with weight loss mindset. So we're actually not paying attention to ourselves. We're paying attention to that scale. That scale dictates where we're at, how we do, and how we manage our carnivore diet. So that's what I needed to get people's mind off of. That's the first thing, because if not, the scale is going to rule. And when the scale rules, then they automatically lessen their amounts that they need to eat, even though if they're eating where they're actually feeling full. But I mean, aren't you surprised that you can almost eat double than what you thought was full was, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just unbelievable, right?
And I'm okay with it. I'm like, let's
exactly.
eat.
Exactly. And that's the part that we need to realize how much we were even restricting when we didn't even realize we were restricting.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a key thing. I think priming, if anything, is important just for that alone. That's it. Just to learn ourselves. The rest is, learning how to fast. And when we decide that we don't want to deal with feasting or fasting, that we have a good roadmap of when I am under eating and what to look out for. So if anything, you have that as a tool in the end too. So you've learned so much about yourself that you're able to stay carnivore the whole time. And that's the real objective behind this.
It's exactly right. You tweak it to your thing. And so we do have people saying, well, what's level 4? What's level 5, wanting all this. And Raymond teaches all kinds of other little hacks and tools that you can do in your healing journey. And so there's more coming. There's always going to be more coming. But I think that this, someone that goes through all the levels, like you're getting pretty close to that yourself, Rosa, that you come out on the other side of that and all sides of it, and you can easily adapt your own version of it, your own schedule. If you want to have a fasting schedule, you don't have to take fasting. Raymond, he only fasts 6 months out of the year. 6 months of the year, he doesn't fast at all. And so this is what's so special about it. And usually over time, our members and clients also do get some body recomposition, but we never promise that. But typically I was curious if you wanted to share a little bit about your two, because I know that your appetite has increased in such that you eat a lot more food now, correct?
Yeah. When I do eat, I eat a lot more food. Like I can eat 2 pounds of meat.
Wow.
And how has your body composition, has this been a tough journey, or how's that gone?
No, it was really easy. And I'm trying to remember, I think it was really the second month for me. Mm-hmm.
The second month meaning?
The second month of doing the program.
Okay, right.
Is when I noticed
body comp.
It was all of a sudden in the course of just like, a couple weeks, I guess. And I started to see it changing. And I didn't stop weighing myself. I did weigh myself. But I'm going to now going forward. I was actually talking to Coach Cherish about that. I'm like, I need to just not look at that.
Awesome.
I'm one of these curious people, you know, I'm like, oh, I'm just curious.
Were you disappointed by the weight?
You know, some days, yeah, but actually the scale did move, but
Okay.
but my pictures, I took pictures, you know, and I posted
Yes.
those pictures,
Amazing.
and the scale only moved about 8 pounds from when I started, but it looked like a lot.
Totally different body. Amazing.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is basically that the scale is definitely not a good determinant, because it looks a lot. It looks like I lost like 20 pounds.
Right.
You know?
Yeah,
Right.
I agree.
It does,
Your
yeah.
shape, your athleticism, like that
Your
is an
muscles.
efficient body, your muscles.
Right.
And how much exercise was involved in that?
I wasn't doing any exercise.
Oh.
Yeah, and I don't think exercise is bad, and I love to do exercise, but I was just trying to let my body rest and repair, and I haven't really been wanting to do a lot of exercise lately. But what I noticed was going through that is that I was shocked because I wasn't doing a lot of exercise, but my muscle tone was different. Like I had more muscles. And I was like, how can this be?
It doesn't make sense, right? Yeah.
No, it looks like a before and after. I don't know if you can post these pictures on the YouTube or whatever. It looked like someone that did a gym program. It did not look like someone that was taking a break from exercise.
And in the past, because I actually used to be a Beachbody coach, so I I did all the programs, you know, and I was very into weights, and I still love weightlifting and resistance training, all that stuff. So when I posted that, most people thought that, oh, wow, you're really hitting the gym, you know.
Yes, that's what it looked like. It looked like a gym before.
That's right, because you were a Beachbody before, so they thought, oh, you're back hitting the gym really hard, dude. Yeah, absolutely.
But when I said it was carnivore and feasting and fasting,
yes,
you know, and people are like, well, what's that?
Yes.
Right.
Especially the feasting. So I love it. This was music to my ears. You said it was carnivore and feasting and fasting. And I'm so happy that feasting was included in what you said, how this happened.
Yes, because, you know, I had tried the other way too. I had tried carnivore and, you know, limiting my fat, limiting my protein, even at sometimes, you know, because you hear all these different things in the space. Yeah. And that was kind of my downfall the last year, is I kept listening to, oh, this, oh, that, let's test this, let's test that. And you can go down this hole that you don't need to, you know.
I did that too. And the consequence of that, which I hear again and again and again, is it actually really brought my anxiety up. When I was doing carnivore, but I was doing counting macros, restricting, over exercising, and limiting fat. And there was really, you know, I had some hair loss during that time. So I was probably tanking my thyroid as well. So when you combine carnivore with restriction, you are not going to get optimal results.
Yeah, I agree. And I had that happen too. I was having my hormones tested because I was losing hair, and everything came back fine on the labs, of course. But I do think, you know, you can't really rely on blood tests. They don't really show what's going on in your body.
It's how do you feel? And how do I feel when I was doing restricting and carnivore versus how do I feel now when I'm feasting, fasting, and carnivore? I feel so good. So that's the huge indicator of what's going on.
Right. And I do understand some people, some of the restrictors, you know, a lot of the restrictors, if you notice, they're very young. So this is what I loved about this, you know, doing it the way I've done it, is because, hey, I can actually handle this. You know, it doesn't really take much willpower, you know. So yes, if I were younger and had a lot more willpower and having to grin and bear it and white knuckle everything, I could do a low calorie diet, and I'm sure I'd get some great results. But again, for me, this wasn't about body. This was about, you know, what could I get out of this as far as feel the best that I can. And that was the objective. So my objective is different. It's just not about, yes, fortunately, I ended up looking the way I did. That's a plus, but that's not the reason I even went into this.
Yeah, I completely agree. Well, let's talk a little bit about the program too. So we talked about the priming, right? That's the first step. You have people do 2 weeks of priming. And what are some big complaints you get from that?
Oh boy, we've got a long list for that one. I'll talk about one. Okay, I'll talk about the obvious is that some people will get weight gain. And so their size will go up. And here we've asked these people that are so determined to change their health or get their body or do something they wanted, that they decided to go 100% carnivore, which is a pretty radical decision all in of itself. If someone's at a pretty desperate spot or a determined spot or something before they would consider taking the all-in carnivore challenge. And then we say that, you know, the best way you can go about this, the best start you can get to this journey is to feast. And they have a really tough time with that. And so, and their brain hasn't caught up quite yet, because it takes probably, you know, I don't know, it takes a while before the negativity in the brain settles down, before the inflammation settles down. So they still have an inflamed brain, and they're getting a little bit bigger at the same time. And so these two things are, it actually does cause a lot of anguish. This is kind of why we insist that this is done in a community, and that we say this is really best done when we can be there for each other, because it takes a community and it takes engagement to be able to change the mindset, to be able to, you can say my health is my priority, but when you are with 100 other people that are saying that our health is our priority, we are committed to this, then it actually really helps soothe and ease the mindset. There's this stress level that our members get up to. You can just watch it. It's like, da, 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 and they get all the way up here, and it's meltdown zone. And we welcome that. We welcome that people express when they're in the meltdown zone. And I think we get it every month, that we'll get at least one or two that they got to the meltdown point and they just can't take it, and just, you know, pour their heart out in group. And so this is a chance for them to learn more about themselves and to understand that they are going to show up for themselves no matter what. It's actually an opportunity for unconditional love for themselves, which is the beginning of the journey. When you love yourself so much that you're nourishing yourself and you're even accepting this temporary swell, and you have convinced that it's okay to love yourself through that, then that's really going to pay dividends over time. And it's really going to help you to love yourself when you are getting the results and when your body composition and healing have come around. So that's one of the big things. What other complaints do we hear, Coach Raymond, during priming?
First of all, I want to say, I agree with Emily. The challenge for the weight gain is the biggest thing. It's you know, most people come in for the carnivore diet. I'm not going to come in for people are like for weight loss, right? Better body composition. And then all of a sudden you hear, I want you to eat as much as possible for the first 2 weeks. And then I want you to give up all your sweeteners, all your pleasure, everything, except for eating meat. That's a tough sell. You know, it's like, hold up now, you know, first you're going to make me fatter. Then I have to give up all the things I treasured, you know, that I've always loved. So that's a tough sell. So you understand the importance of community in that aspect. People need to be convinced, why am I going to take out, say, this 3 months program out of my life to what is that going to get me? And I agree with all of them. So I feel for them. It's like, I'm going to gain weight. Then all of a sudden I have to love myself gaining the weight. That's the other thing. Oh yeah, you're going to gain that weight. And then you're going to have to figure out how to love yourself on top of that. Wow. Talk about a tough sell, right? But you know, watching the changes that I see in the community is amazing. That part is amazing because of the community, I've seen people that has gained the weight and they're like, I could care less about the weight anymore. At first that was my objective, but now I don't even care about the weight anymore because I understand, because I know how I need to feel and what is the most important thing. It's not just health, it's also the mental health, how we look at each other, how we look at ourselves, how we, you know, how we handle our weight around. Now that mental piece is what I'm trying to say is a lot of people would not understand into coming in it. But obviously weight gain is the hardest thing. The other thing that I would say is the hardest thing is giving up, all your little sweeteners, and some people will even decide to give up coffee during that time. So any crutch that they have, they start giving it up during that time because they understand that what the whole picture is about. When you start learning that, hey, this is my chance, that my one-time chance that I can learn who I really am under these certain conditions, which is carnivore, and learn the potential of having food freedom. Before carnivore, I never knew it was possible, ever possible, that I would have a point where I'm not controlled by food. I was always controlled by it. To turn that around and I'm controlling when I want to eat, what time I want to eat, whether I would need to skip a day, it's just unheard of. True food freedom. So this is what I offer. I feel it's more than just the weight loss. That's just bonuses.
Oh, wow. That is so powerful. Coach Raymond. And I agree, because I went in with a good mindset, but I know not everybody does. Because I went in like, I'm one of these people that if I have a goal, I have a mission, I'm going to do it what it takes, not that it's not hard, but you have to go in with that right, that mindset. You have to almost prepare yourself before, it's like preparing yourself before the mission, So I took out coffee, I took out dairy.
Wow. Oh, you did.
Yeah. I have since added it back. Sure. But now I'm more mindful of it. I'm more mindful of how my body feels. I'm not eating a ton of it. Right. It's not a crutch or anything like that, but I did notice a difference. It was more mental. Yeah.
It is. And it's about really learning yourself in the certain environment. For example, how are you in a beef only world, with nothing else? How is that? There's actually a freedom there. But again, I also am not militaristic. Okay, you stay there, you get there, you stay there. No, go flirt out, flirt in. I used to always love to say that, I like to use my cheese as my cheats. If I go off crazy and all that, that's, or maybe some spices or whatever, that's my cheats. And I'm okay with that mentality because I'm still in control, and that's what's important, right? What I'm not okay with is when it starts controlling me, and it could be something silly like sparkling water, which, by the way, I'm starting to drink that again. So, and you start noticing that it starts controlling you more than you controlling it. It's like you have to have it. You're like, no, I'm not happy unless I have that, right? Then it starts becoming an issue, right? I should be happy just being me, right? Not needing some other, at least that's the way I see it, not needing some other crutch or food especially, or drink to make me feel like I'm going to have a good day.
And I even got that way with electrolytes. And that's what I learned. I learned through that. Yeah, but it did the one I had flavor. It had a little,
Of course, stevia probably.
Because I don't like the one that doesn't have flavor. It tastes horrible to me. So I just I would always go to that one that had the flavor, but I was finding that I felt like I needed it. And it was more mental because I probably did need it before. I used to get headaches and leg cramps and that stuff. So it's like you get afraid. You're like, oh no, I'm gonna go back to having headaches or the leg cramps. But I just took it away and I haven't had it. And I haven't needed it at all, so.
We like to think about fasting as a rest from things, and we're not saying it has to be a rest from it forever. And so that's how we're doing when we're handling this, when we're helping people. You mentioned that your coffee consumption has been changed around. You would not believe how much we see that. It's just over and over and over, because what used to be that coffee was okay and approved for fasters, for keto, for low carb, for carnivore. And so we just started overusing it. And so it was just too much. They just have coffee all day long. And I was in that category. And so we do, people can use our program as a way to overcome other things. We have underweight people that are using our program to restore and
That's
get
right.
their appetite up again. And so, yeah, it's truly not about just the fat loss component. There's a lot of other life issues. People have used it to take themselves off of, in conjunction with their physicians, off of farmers that they didn't want to be on. And so the people have used this for a lot of different things. And so, but this coffee story is a real common one. And I think a lot of people go through that, where we flip when the order of when you can have your coffee. And just by doing that alone, it takes some of the power away from it. And people can take those little things, whether it was some coffee, some wine, a little bit of veg, that it's irritating them that it's in their life, and they want to take this little bit out. They can get a lot of freedom over all of those little habits as well by trying this out. So it's been working really well.
Yeah, and it is so freeing once you take something out, and then you develop a different relationship with it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's in its place. It's when Raymond talks about, I have food freedom, I think about the same thing. I feel like a lot of people have caffeine freedom. The caffeine doesn't control them. They control, and so if they want to choose it, they choose it. If they don't, they don't. And so there's just a lot of extras in our lives that we relied on too much, that we learn that we don't have to, that we're okay just loving ourselves and taking a rest from these things. It's absolutely fine.
Yeah, and then let's talk about the different levels too. The level. I am now doing. I'm finishing up level 3.
Oh, so you've done a 72-hour fast.
Yes, and I actually, and this wasn't planned at all, but I did my 72-hour fast, and then it was almost a month of time in between doing the other 48-hour fast. I just did a 48-hour fast.
Sure.
So I hopped back into it, but I felt like my body needed more time in between, just because I was having some stressful things happen in my life and different things happen. But that's what's really beautiful, is that you can do that. You can listen to your body, and you could hop back in, right?
Yeah, that's the wonderful part about any of these levels. First of all, they're just training to learn how to use these tools. So obviously, when you do the alternate day fasting week, for example, you've learned how alternate day fast works for you. So at any point in time, you can pull that tool out if you wanted to. But I do like to structure it where, you kind of try where you took off and then start it again. And the same, remember, the graduation of each one of those is kind of, the alternate day fast week and then the rolling 48 week. The only difference is the break in to get into the rolling to the 48s, you have to do a 72. But that's just saying, hey, are you really ready for just sticking with OMADs only and also going into 48? So really, you're just strictly OMADs at that level 3. And after level 3, then you should be ready. If you decide to finish it up and do all of it, then at that point, I would say just chill out, relax into more of a looking at, well, of course, you already your food up. And then perhaps if you wanted to look at another modality, that's when I introduce play around with like very tiny baby dry fast kind of things,
Oh, okay.
That's actually the next level, but anyways,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So our levels, we have level 2 is alternate day fast. And so our folks in the alternate in level 2 will master anywhere from a 36 to a 42. And we like to focus on rolling. And so a rolling fast is when you fast and then you eat and then you fast and you eat. And so you kind of build them up consecutively. So and we do this very slowly. You start with a little bit and you take a rest, and then you do a little bit more and then you take a rest. And so it's really cool because the level 2, someone can get very comfortably into an alternate day fasting schedule of fasting anywhere from 32 to 42 hours, eating 2 meals on the days that they eat. And then level 3 is quite a challenge. Not everybody wants to do level 3. That's not required. Some people medically shouldn't do level 3, but some folks love it because that actually gets into the rolling 48-hour fast, which are so much fun. And they are just efficient. And so it's incredible because once you're getting to the end of level 3, you're doing rolling 8-hour fast. So you're only eating 3 times a week. And so you can just get so much done. You get so much more time. And then, so you have your, OMAD when it's on your eating days, you nourish well, you feast, you eat well. So I love level 3, although it's incredibly challenging for me. I don't do it quite very often, but it's a wonderful challenge when I go for it. And then you take a rest. So it's just kind of cool because after you've done Raymond's program, you've learned how to OMAD, you've learned how to 2MAD, you've learned all the way up to a 72-hour fast, which we really, really prepare you for well. So it's not a difficult 72. And then you can also roll 48. So you've got so much in your tool belt by the time you're done with this program. It's just like, there's really not very many fasts out there that you can't do, except for ones that are, we don't really want to coach on that. Those are going to get you into damage zones anyways. They could, and they have the potential. We think they're safe if they're done well, but we don't coach on that in a group, and we don't really do that with our clients. That's, for a different situation that folks, if they want to go into get those really long ones.
Yeah. And the only reason that we'd say that part's a little more on the unsafe side, believe it or not, it's not because of the actual way. It's actually two things. So it gets addictive.
Yes.
And most people will tend to like push it way too much.
Yes.
So that's the actual problem about it. We can't even hold people back and say,
it's so true.
Slow down, and then the recovery of that is the issue. It's kind of like, imagine doing water fast, right? You know how you water fast after the 72 hours, you're not really that hungry anyway. So it's easy to just go on. Just keep going on. It's all fine. It's actually pretty easy as long as you keep going on. But when you break it, the recovery for that takes so long, right? Well, dry fasting is the same way. If you take it too far, the recovery takes so long that you're probably not going to be ready for the next one till later. So it's trying to slow step it just like everything else. So that's why we don't really delve into that one that much. It's too easy for people like, oh yeah, this was easy today, I'll just skip tonight too. So, and they don't realize that all of that accumulates with them.
Yeah, we even designed this so that it goes into the difficult part of the fast. And so we take it to the difficult part and then we end it, and we take it again to the difficult part and then we end it and we do it again. Right. And so it's a totally different philosophy. We're not trying to make fasting easy, because nutrition is very, very important. And we, sometimes that gets lost when we get way too lost in fasting la la land and the nutrition goes. So this is good.
I've had it where I've white knuckled, because it does get, so that's the danger of even level 3 where you're at right now, Rosa. You'll probably feel like at the portion where you're not wanting to eat less, but you can't help it. You just can't eat as much. So you will get to eventually a point where you are on a white knuckle phase, which, we have a list of questions that we ask people, but you don't really realize you're there. Right. And that's where the danger comes in. And then you can push it a little bit too far and have the same problems that you've had before, the hair loss and all that kind of stuff. And so that's what we're very, very careful about, is that because your body adapts so well, you're actually adapting to the alternate day pretty easily. But should it be doing that and you're actually not getting enough nutrition? And that's the question that we have to always ask ourselves and be honest with ourselves. And really, that's where good coaching comes in. Really pretty important to make sure that you're not doing anything too stupid.
Yeah. And I agree sometimes. And that's kind of why I think I made myself take a little bit of a break, because I knew, well, and it wasn't really I didn't say, oh, I need to take a break. It was just, my body told me.
Yes, you felt it. We become much more in tune with our body, so much so that people might not know this, but we coach a lot of people, no fasting, no feasting, after they've been through the process, because now they can really trust and listen to their body. We have what we call a no fasting zone. This is any time that there's, a hormonal upset or a move or grief process. We talk a lot about the no fasting zone, but we've been doing a lot with our clients that's no feasting either. This is just completely intuitive carnivore. But since you know what it feels like to undereat, you're not going to undereat, because undereating is the number one problem with carnivore. That's the number one reason that folks try it and have all the symptoms they do. And they say, carnivore didn't work for me. wasn't necessarily true. It's possible that restricting on carnivore and under eating on carnivore is what didn't work for them.
That's right.
Yeah. And I think part of it's not being prepared, because sometimes I get into this habit of going out to eat with my family. There's only certain things that I could, have at a certain restaurant. And a lot of it's not the quantity that I need.
Oh
Right.
no.
Oh,
In a
I'm so
restaurant.
there with you. I know.
It's like, I know I can get a couple burger patties, or I can get a steak, but it's like, okay, where's another steak? I guess.
You kind of need more. I saw somebody this
Yeah.
morning that was at the restaurant. She did her eggs and her bacon. She's like, oh, and can I also have beef patty on the side? Like, you kind of really need to do that. So we generally recommend our hard and fast rule for group is that you eat before you go and you eat there, because
Yeah.
it's just not going to be enough.
Or else
Restaurants just
it's-
can't handle us.
Yeah, not just that. It's just either that or it's just way too expensive and it's silly. to do that,
Exactly.
right?
It's ridiculous. Yeah, you have to get 2 dinners. I'd have to get 3,
Right.
And I kind of think that's what kind of happened to me after I did my 72-hour fast. I of course I replenished with 3 meals a day and then 2 meals, but then I ended up going out of town on a trip. And there wasn't a lot that I could order in the amounts that I would need, so I wasn't eating enough. And sometimes things are, and then that kind of threw me off a little bit. And so I realized, well, I need to just stay here for a little bit.
I can see why, because you were really feeling like you weren't having enough already. So absolutely. Yeah.
I'm so glad you did that, Rosa. You get it. You really get our program.
And
I love it.
I think some people feel like they might be a failure and say,
oh
yes,
well, oh gosh, I got to get back on this program. And I kind of had those thoughts a little bit, but then I said, no, this is the long haul. I'm in here for the long haul. I'm not in here for quick fix,
Yes.
yes. And you see, this is why community is kind of important, because we see other people saying these same things. And you know what, really and honestly, when you take a little break like that, you start noticing yourself in the mirror probably not as fit as you were too. So you're like a little bit more upset about that too. And it really catches you up thinking that, so that accentuates the failure part. So you see how important it is, why it's so important to actually love yourself when you're actually gaining the weight on the prime. Well, in your case, you actually lost weight on the prime. So but anyways, you're one of those miracles that somehow that happens too. But yeah, not everybody's like that. But I'm just saying, so that's why it's that important, because it's very hard to keep that shape that you're after. And then you're always going to want more and more and more. It's like, oh, I can be a little bit thinner. I can make that waist just a little bit smaller. And no matter how small it's going to be, it's never small enough.
Ooh.
Oh yes,
so true.
Experienced that. I got really sick. I think it was 2015 or so. That's another part of my story. But anyway, I look back at those pictures and I look very sickly, thin, and I was very depressed at that time. And I think of myself now and I love myself. I've done so much inner work. Really, you have to go through that experience, and it doesn't matter how I've been bigger, I've been thinner, you have to love yourself, like Coach Raymond always says.
I mean, it's foundational.
I literally spent 6 months on not fasting. And actually this past, I was supposed to be on my all rolls right now because that's my period of time. But there was so much going on in my life, after 10 rolls of fasting, of 48 fasting, I stopped because other things in life came. And, I even had a diverticulitis attack and I started getting a lot bigger. And right now I'm still in my bigger phase, and where people are noticing, and actually saying, hey, you're getting a belly here. I'm like, yeah, people like in karate. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And I bet I wasn't really ready to fast until probably now, because I'm starting to feel a little more secure. Things are healing up and I'm feeling like I'm ready. Things are settling down a little bit on the stress level too. There's little ups, and then, it's starting to settle down though, overall, which is good. And then now I feel like I can finally focus on myself. And that's what I wanted to do. But if I didn't love myself, I would force myself to do something I wouldn't want to do at the time of dealing with all this other stuff. And that doesn't make sense, because all that's going to do is make me fail on everything that I do. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I don't wanna
You
do that.
think you can punish yourself into doing it. I like to call
Right.
it revenge fasting and punishment fasting. And so you think you can just put this thing on yourself and make your body behave, and I'm going to get trim for this trip, or, whatever it is. And it backfires every time, coach. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. You're pushing on this energy so much. A lot of what coach teaches about is energy. And when you push on a certain energy, that energy comes back the other way. And so you better be pushing and pulling on energy that really matters, and that you need to anticipate the swing that's going to go the other way, and make sure that you're doing the things that are what you want and are going to give you the results that you want. Because this type of revenge and punishing and restriction and using fasting like a diet, it backfires every time, and it doesn't work long term.
Yeah. And I noticed too, when I am in a good place where I'm ready to fast, it's so easy. Like
Isn't it? Oh, I love those.
The one I
those
just
when it
did,
clicks.
and in my mind, I was like, well, I don't know if I can do this 48, but I'm just going to try and see. And it was so easy. I could have, I felt like I could have gone longer, but
right. Good job not pushing it too far.
I went a half an hour longer, but that was about it.
Oh, so cute. Just a little bit.
Wonderful.
Well, it was just circumstances, because my husband was making me he was making us steaks last night, and just happened to be at that time. So.
All right. I love it.
So we went through all the levels and all the community stuff. What else can we talk about this feasting and fasting, this chisel program? You have a lot of great, you have calendars in your chisel program, and you have videos, a lot of how-to videos.
Yeah, chisel turned out to be the written work of feasting and fasting. So they're very much related, and they're meant to go together. And so what we want is the community. We're trying to wrestle with this. We're kind of even for a little while started about doing it as a different community. It was like, no, we want it in the community. We want these all together. And so the ideal is going to be that you join up for SVG and you get the monthly challenge. Monthly challenges are 8 hours of community meetings. And so we don't ever go past 2 days without there being an opportunity to come to a community meeting and share and just enjoy and listen and learn. So this is what's so powerful is the monthly challenge. We have these 8 hours of community meetings, and there's twice a week that we specifically teach fasting and feasting. We typically end up talking about it on the other meetings anyways, because so many of our members are doing it, but not always. And then we create Chisel to be the written guide, and it's a self-paced. And so you can just read through it whenever you want. We've got the full calendars, you can download them. And we have lots of writing about all different elements of the feasting and fasting program. So it's more like for people who want to read about it at their own pace and really sink in with it. But we do a lot of special articles about, special occasions or willpower scale or all these tricks that Raymond has figured out over the years and years and hundreds into thousands of clients right now. We don't have enough time to teach everybody those tricks in our community. And so we do as much as we can, but then we've got it all in the Chisel written program. And so that there's a lot more that people can get there. We're looking to improve it all the time and add more content and make it just continue for it to have value for people.
And I love it. Because sometimes it helps for people to know where they're going.
Yeah.
And because you can kind of see all the calendars and all the different things, even though you guys are really good in your meetings about kind of showing people where they're going, but some people want to see the whole picture,
Yes.
And so and I love the way that you've set that up, because like me, like if I, get a little off track, off schedule, I can be like, okay, well, what do I need to do now? I got to go look and I just,
Good.
and I just look and say, oh, I'm going to do a 48 and then I'm going to do an OMAD,
I am so glad. Raymond is very visual. And so he's really good at giving the graphics. And he always posts the calendars visually. So you can see it's kind of color coded, like it just kind of makes sense to your brain. And then he's asked me to do up a day by day, where I think our program is 108 days long. So it went from day one all the way through. If there was some perfect member who didn't have any special holiday they had to adjust for, this is what it would look like. And so then you can just pop in and see, where am I in that, and pop it into your own calendar and make your own calendar and do your own version of this. So yeah, it's been nice, I think, for people to have something they can like just hang on to and read and apply. That is not in the meetings. Our meetings are wonderful, but we have like anywhere of 100, 200 people. So it can get pretty busy in there.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is. But I find, if I can get on a meeting, I have, I love it because I learn something from each person in the meeting.
Yes, we do too. So do we. So do we.
We do too. We love
Yes.
And sometimes you get so teary-eyed and you feel for the people that are talking,
Right.
speaking, going through a hard time, and you just want to hug them, and
it.
And so I think that's the beauty of what you guys are doing, is that it's not just, oh, here's a diet, or here's a protocol to follow, or it's not just what, some people say, oh, just fast and eat meat and eat till you're full.
There's more. There's so much more.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is. There's so much
I'm
more.
so glad that you've gotten to experience it though. So really, this is great to hear it from your mouth too, how wonderful it is. So, and hopefully you'll keep us updated and when you're actually done with the program, and then you can give us a read.
Of course, I will. Well, and
yeah,
one thing,
Rosa, we like to do success stories too. Raymond has a whole section on his YouTube channel for success stories. So maybe you guys can get on there and talk about that someday.
Yes. No,
Mhm.
I will have
Mhm.
to check out his success stories.
Mhm.
And then one thing I was going to say is that I was not expecting this, but about, and I don't know if it was carnivore or if it was the feasting, the fasting. I wasn't really doing much fasting yet, of course, because I was only 20 days in. But all of a sudden, there was something in my brain that changed, and I just felt all this joy,
Oh my goodness, Rosa.
That's great. Wow.
So beautiful. And that was at about day 20?
How long?
Yeah. It
20,
was at day 20, and I went out for a walk, and I was just so happy. I was giddy. I was happy.
The unicorn.
And I didn't, and I didn't realize, it's like you don't realize something was missing. You don't realize you were I wasn't depressed or anything, but but I felt, and I have been depressed in the past, but I think just taking out that last little bit of plant,
yes,
you don't realize what, it may be doing to your body. I don't know what the mechanism is. But I just felt all this joy, and I continue to feel the joy. And I know that you guys probably hear that a lot.
We never get tired of hearing it.
That's right.
Ever.
Now, just to let you know, so that's what I like to say, the glimpse of the unicorn, because you're gonna have it for probably maybe this week and all that, and everything's just right and everything's great, and it'll disappear, and you'll feel like, how can I get that back again? And then you're kind of like chasing it all the time. So always wanting it. Yeah. It's a great feeling. It really is amazing though. Hold on to it. It's great, but enjoy it when it's here, and when it's not, it's okay too.
And I do feel it when I get back into that fasting.
Yes.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yes.
And I get like, I'm just crazy happy.
Yeah.
Happy,
crazy energy, all of that. Yeah. It's like a whole different world.
I want to do like everything. I want to help everybody.
I know. Limitless pill during that time. Yeah.
This is so good. And the food industry, they've studied very intensely how to get a bliss point so that people stay addicted to food, right? And so this is a different kind of a bliss. And yeah, just allowing your body that fast, allowing your body 100% carnivore, you're going to have these points. This is a true bliss point, and it just regenerates and gives everything. And you have so much to pour out when you experience that. So yeah, I love that you're getting that. It's amazing.
Yes.
And I love your sharing about it, because that's the key, that it's like, hey, why do I want to give up all of this?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, well, this is it for what I consider true joy, right?
Yes.
You know, it's real deep within. It's not because you bought a new toy or you have a new food or anything like that. It's really deep within. And what an experience to feel. And I think that's the big sell, right? Oh, okay. Well, let's not forget about, your ailments kind of going away. That's always,
no
Oh,
diseases going into remission and quieting down.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
That's
well,
great
and that
too,
was
right?
that was another thing, and I keep forgetting to tell you guys, is that I had the shoulder pain. It was in my shoulder. It was like a muscle too. And I was getting chiropractor. I was getting massage, but for a few months, it hurt the shoulder to lift. It was very painful. And then all of a sudden, a few months in, it just went away. And now there's no pain at all. And it was very mysterious to me, because I still can't figure it out, because I don't know if maybe it was a combination of the fasting and the carnivore, maybe that helped heal.
When that was happening to me, I could have sworn that I was making that story up. Like, no, it probably was never there, because you really don't feel it at all. Like nothing ever happened to it. It's like totally gone, right?
Yep.
You would think you'd feel a little bit of it, something, right? But totally like nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing, right?
It's so intense. I can't remember which knee had the
amazing.
meniscus tear in it. I had that
That's a
meniscus
good
tear.
example.
Like, what knee was it? I can't even remember. I have to think through. Oh yeah, when I was getting out of my car, I couldn't put my foot down. It was on my left knee. So,
right. That's the part that almost made me crazy, because it's like, I can't figure out, did I really have that problem? Did I have those problems at all? Right. So yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah. And just being able to, I did start doing some yoga again. And every once in a while I'll do a little weight training. I try not to just overdo it though, because I do kind of stress my body out a little too much, easily, because I'm one of these people that will go too far.
Yes.
Me too, unfortunately. Yes.
Yeah, but just that's, the mental, the physical, just everything is easier with just eating meat, and fat and fasting and everything else.
Feasting and feasting.
Yes, the feasting. Yes. The feasting. Yes, the feasting. And it's so amazing, because it's okay. It's okay to feast and fuel your body with all of the right nutrients. So
that's right. Wow. Awesome.
Well, are there any other words of advice or anything that you'd like to give my audience, some more little morsels?
Yes. So I want to say, if you're carnivore curious, or, if you've been on the keto realm quite a bit, a long time, why would I want to give this thing, give up keto? For me, the biggest nugget for that was the addiction to the sweets and addiction to all these other stuff. I just could not maintain a proper keto under 20 grams of carbs properly. And carnivore made that difference. And then fasting took it to another level even. So as far as craving wise, I only want meat. And I really encourage you to look into this. And as far as a community, I feel like that's very important, because we just do so much better in a community, and we learn from each other so well. I don't know. You obviously can do it without a community. I did without a community, but it's so much more fun with a community too. So.
Yeah, I just want to encourage people that, Raymond and he's 49, I'm 50. It's just never too late. We have members in our community that are 60s, 70s, and 80s and are getting huge benefits from this lifestyle. And so I just want a message of hope that your life isn't over. It's not too late. If you've got things that are ailing you, like possibly try this, possibly join our group and just give it a shot for a while. There is so much to be gained by so many people, and this is the best way to go about it, is to do it in a community. So just wanting to encourage hope, encourage people, if you're a lifetime experience faster like I was, just encourage you that your fast can be easier than you ever imagined. You still can fast, and it can still be a healing modality that you use, but it's even ramped up to glorious levels that you could not imagine. Makes everything doable. So just a message of hope and healing, and come and join us and give us a try. It's we love, this is what we love to do, so we're there to do it.
Thank you so much, you guys. And I love the messages, the hope and the healing. And yeah, in the community, that is actually what just helped me the most and continues to help me along my journey. So thank you so much for coming on today. And
Thank you, Rosa.
yes, and I will see you in the meetings.
Thank
Oh,
you, Rosa.
definitely. See
You
in a
are a
meeting.
wonderful member. Appreciate you so much.
Thank you.